Let's talk about diversifying your income stream. Back in 2019, I left the classroom after out earning my teaching salary. And so I began to do TPT full time. But that was in May of 2019. Less than 1 year later, the pandemic hit and my income was slashed. And you talk about panic. When school started to shut down, teachers didn't know what they were teaching. They didn't know what kind of resources they needed, and they stopped purchasing. It was a really scary place to be in as a business owner who sells teaching resources online. And my business was absolutely not prepared to endure that type of an event. Now, fortunately, as schools started to develop plans, I was able to create new digital resources and recover. But I told myself back then when I was pregnant and expecting a new baby, and then all of a sudden over half of my income was gone, that I didn't want to be in that position long term. And so in 2020, I set out to diversify my income streams. And I now currently have over 8 different revenue sources for my business that bring in money consistently that I can depend on, so that even if one thing goes down, other one should be able to pick up the slack or be able to hold its own. And what this has done for me monetarily from a business standpoint is it's obviously increased my revenue. What it's done for me from a personal standpoint is it's given me a lot of security and safety, and that I know I can focus on my family and I don't have to worry about the next big catastrophe that's going to happen. Hopefully, knock on wood, right? So in this episode, I'm going to be answering some frequently asked questions about diversifying your income streams. These questions are coming from my free Facebook group, The Rebranded Teacher. If you're not a part of that Facebook group, you can find the link to that down in the description. But so these are questions from people within the teacher author community. I'm also going to be talking about this in depth at Teacher Seller Summit. I'm one of the keynote speakers for Teacher Seller Summit, and I'm going to be talking about a roadmap for diversifying your income streams to create a stronger, more healthy, more stable business for you and for your family. All right, so let's dive into some of the questions. First, when we're talking about diversifying your income streams, one of the things is like, how can I diversify it? Some of the most common ways that you can diversify your income streams within the teacherpreneur space, like if you started out with a TPT store, some of the next logical steps may be creating an online course, creating an online membership, hosting conferences, things like that. And so we're going to be answering some questions about that. So one of the first questions comes from Allison, and several sellers also seconded this question. They're like, yes, we want to know the answer to this. And that is, how can you create a membership to benefit teachers in your niche? Is it just giving away resources? So I do have a membership. I have a membership with my business partner, Brooklyn McCarley, which also at TSS, at Teacher Seller Summit, we are going to be talking about profitable partnerships and creating successful partnerships with other people in the business space. But she and I have a membership together, and I also have Rebranded Teacher Academy, which is a membership for teacher entrepreneurs. So I have a membership on my own for teacher sellers, and then she and I have a membership together for math teachers called the Math Membership. And if you want to go to themathmembership.com, you can see a little bit more about how that works and what that looks like for us. But there are so many ways that you can create a membership with the resources that you have. So it can be like an all access pass where somebody joins the membership and they get access to all of the resources that you've created for a monthly fee. But what we essentially want to think about when we're designing a membership is we want to think about, what is our customer getting that they're going to be willing to continue to pay for, right? So what are they getting access to? And what's going to keep them coming back? So what's going to entice them to join the membership in the first place? And then what's going to keep them there so that they continue to pay that monthly recurring revenue, or they continue to pay that yearly subscription fee. So there are so many different ways that you can create a membership and continue to give content. Probably the most popular would be giving them access to a library of resources. This doesn't have to be your TPT resources. This could be a learning library. This could be a tutoring library. Like, let's say that I decide to open a membership for math teachers teachers that gives them access to a tutoring library on every topic, every subject, so that they can open up the membership and have a video that specifically corresponds with a specific skill for their students, so that if they missed a lesson that day, they can open it up and the students can watch the video. Maybe it has a handout that they can follow along with directly as they watch the video. Maybe it has a little quiz for the students so that they can answer questions about the video that they watched and about the work that they've done on the paper. So the teacher can free up their after school tutorial time or their lunch tutorial time, and students can do these tutorials from home. Maybe you give them access to a library of resources, and then every month there's some new fresh content that's added in. The thing about memberships to understand is that for the most part, it's not passive income. I'm not saying that you can't set it up to where it's not passive income, but basically we've got to continue to keep them there. So I have to ask myself, what is it that I'm going to add to this or release each month or each quarter or each year that will keep them here and not make them just want to like download everything real fast and then split, right? So those are kind of the things that I want to think about. And it's not just giving away all of your resources. I personally am not saying that I will never do it, but at this point in my business, I am personally really leery of putting all of my resources into a membership and then having to constantly keep up with adding enough new resources that they want to keep coming back. In theory, I don't think it's like a bad thing to do. I'm not telling anybody that you shouldn't do it, but definitely do think about like long term, what's going to be practical, what's going to be doable, and do you actually want to give people access to like everything that you have? And so kind of figuring out how to structure that. But anything like the tutorial service or where you're giving them access to a certain number of resources and you're releasing new resources each month or each quarter on a regular basis, or maybe it's a learning library for a new teacher and perhaps you're teaching them how to teach special ed students or how to be a first year teacher. And every month there are live strategy calls or open Q&As, or there's a space for people to come and to ask questions and to talk and to collaborate. There are so many different options just within each individual's niche for hosting a membership. So lots of different options there. It's not just giving away resources. Okay, so let's talk about hosting in terms of like hosting a course, hosting products, like where do I actually host a course or host a membership? So I personally use Kartra. I know a lot of people use Kajabi. I am partial to Kartra. I've never used Kajabi, but either one of those will do the trick, but they're both on the pricey side. So Kartra, I think, starts at like $99 a month. I think Kajabi starts at like $149. It's been a while since I've looked at it, to be honest with you, but it quickly moves up from there for Kartra. The more subscribers you have, the more leads you have, the more expensive it's going to be. And like in Kartra, for the $100 a month, that will let you host like one course or membership. And so if you're going to have multiple products or multiple things that you're selling, then the price is going to go up substantially. So both Kartra and Kajabi are expensive. If you're interested in Kartra, it is really great because it's all in one. I can hook up my SMS messaging and I can do my text messaging from Kartra. Obviously, it's hooked up to a third party, but I can do all of my email marketing is within Kartra and it's extremely robust. I can do more in Kartra than I can do in ConvertKit. Can build website pages, landing pages, all of that stuff. So I really do love Kartra because it's kind of an all-in-one. And then the other reason that I love something like Kartra or Kajabi is that a lot of places like Teachable, they'll charge you like a payment processing fee that's pretty hefty, whereas with some of these, I can just connect it directly to Stripe or directly to PayPal, and I'm only paying PayPal and Stripe fees instead of paying those fees on top of the other platform fees. So those are some things to look at, is that some of them may cost you more per month, but they may charge you more money in fees. So just kind of looking at those. Searchy is a really popular one that's fairly inexpensive. Circle is another one that I've used, and I do really enjoy Circle. And you can host a course or a membership there for, I think, 40 or 45 bucks a month. So it's much more reasonable than say Kartra or Kajabi, but there are literally so many different platforms and you just kind of have to find the one that's going to be best for you. And there are places that you can host for free or for very inexpensive. And so if you're just starting out, those are really good options too for different reasons and for different purposes. I think the really big questions that weren't asked that I think a lot of people kind of don't think about or maybe don't want to think about are some of the most important. And that is, number one, how am I actually going to make money on a course membership or diversifying my income streams? And then number two, what does this look like from a tax perspective when I'm selling resources off of TPT. So first and foremost, you need to make sure that you're compliant with your taxes. You need to make sure that you're collecting sales tax in states that you have nexus in. You need to either do your own nexus study and figure out which states that you have nexus in and which states you should be collecting sales tax in, or hire someone and have them do that for you, because that's really important. Now at Teacher Seller Summit, Rachel and Emily, who are the resident teacherpreneur tax experts, they're going to be talking about sales tax and selling on your own website. And so that will be a really great session to attend. And that is honestly probably the best first step, is figuring out where you have nexus and making sure that you are compliant from a sales tax perspective, because you do not want something to take off and to do really well, or even have a couple of sales, right? And then find out that you should have been collecting sales tax and then now you've got to pay back taxes, all of this mess. Like, you don't want to deal with that. So for sure, handling sales tax is a really great first step. The second thing that you want to think about is you actually need an audience to sell diversified resources to. Like, who am I going to sell a course to? Who am I going to sell a membership to? You need to be growing your email list and growing your audience now before you actually start selling that product that you have in mind to sell in the future. I think a lot of times we kind of get ahead of ourselves and we're like, okay, let me focus on the product that I'm going to create, when we really have other things that we need to get in place first, like who's going to actually buy the product and how am I going to make sure that I'm covered legally. And so those are definitely things that you want to consider before you start diversifying your income stream. So I'm just throwing that out there because I know for me, when I first started, I was not thinking about sales tax, and it quickly became something that, like, oh my goodness, like, I've got to get this set up. And it would have been really nice to have it set up in the very beginning and have that all taken care of ahead of time. If you want to learn more about diversifying your income streams and you want to learn a roadmap for diversifying your income streams and all the different ways that you can diversify in order to create more stabilization, more security, and more revenue for your business, then I'm going to be presenting on this topic at Teacher Seller Summit. Like I said before, I know you're probably tired of hearing about it, but when I tell you that this is going to be the best conference for teacher entrepreneurs, I really believe it. We're bringing together some of the top minds in the teacher business space and having them share their wisdom, their knowledge, and their expertise in so many different areas so that you can grow your business in the way that you see fit. We're also having conversations, because one of the things that I've found is most powerful is having conversations with other experienced sellers and learning from them what they're doing, what's working for them. And so we're doing that in the form of having live hangouts with other TPT sellers so that you can talk, have those discussions, have those conversations, and learn from people who are doing exactly what you're doing or who are doing what you want to do. We're also going to have live panels where you can show up live and ask questions from experts on topics like selling on Teachers Pay Teachers, diversifying your income streams, email marketing, social media marketing, and more. So go ahead and grab that from the link down inside of the description. And I'm going to see you guys in the next video.